You might not believe this, but the reason you look older than you should has nothing to do with wrinkles. It's something far scarier. Tiny hidden habits that are draining your energy, shrinking your confidence, and quietly stealing years from your appearance. The wild truth. You don't even notice you're doing them, but everyone else does. These everyday patterns don't make headlines, yet they control how the world sees you and how you see yourself. Today, we're exposing them all, one by one. And trust me, you'll want to watch until the very end, because one change could change everything. Number 1. Losing the drive to learn. What if the sharpest sign of aging isn't the wrinkles on the skin, but the silence in the mind, the moment one stops asking questions? Losing the drive to learn is not simply a loss of curiosity. It's a slow surrender of vitality. The brain, like any muscle, weakens when left unused. When older adults stop seeking new knowledge, their world begins to shrink subtly.
Days blur into sameness, conversations lose color, and a quiet disconnection takes root, not just from others, but from the self. This cognitive quieting carries real risks. Research from the National Institute on Aging links mental stagnation to faster memory decline, reduced emotional flexibility, and greater vulnerability to conditions like Alzheimer's. Neuroplasticity, the brain's remarkable ability to rewire itself, does not vanish with age. Dr. Norman Doidge, author of The Brain That Changes Itself, confirms that the mature brain retains its capacity for growth, but only if it's stimulated. Inaction, mentally speaking, is decay, yet the solution is both accessible and deeply rewarding. Harvard Medical School encourages mental engagement through activities that are both novel and challenging. This includes learning a new language, playing chess, picking up an instrument, or even exploring digital tools. Such efforts activate the hippocampus and promote the formation of new neural pathways that sustain memory and clarity. Ellen, a 73-year-old retired nurse from Minnesota, exemplifies this transformation. Feeling listless after retirement, she joined a local watercolor class. What began as casual painting sessions soon became a lifeline. She reported better sleep, sharper thinking, and even the formation of newfound friendships. Her story is echoed by many, proof that purpose often returns through creativity. Dr. Sanjay Gupta reminds us that learning isn't about becoming an expert in something new. It's about keeping the mind agile, he writes, about staying open to life's changes rather than resisting them. The moment we choose to learn again, we send a message to our brain and the world that relevance has no expiration date. So whether it's mastering a smartphone, studying poetry, or attending a community lecture, every small act of learning reignites something larger. It brings back a sense of movement, of possibility. In that, there is not just cognitive renewal, but emotional rebirth. Number 2, walking with hesitation. Walking with hesitation is more than a simple change in movement. It is a reflection of how aging can quietly shape the way the world perceives someone and how they perceive themselves. As posture slouches, steps grow smaller, and eyes lower to the ground, something vital slips away. These aren't just mechanical adjustments. They are often signs that the body has begun to move cautiously, and the spirit is slowly retreating from confidence. A hunched back, short steps, and downcast eyes send powerful, if unintended, messages: fragility, fatigue, and a fading sense of presence. A hunched posture and shuffling steps can lead others to assume weakness, frailty, or low vitality, even when that's not the whole story. Research from the National Institutes of Health confirms that such physical habits are associated with more than just discomfort or imbalance. They affect breathing, digestion, mood, and even brain function. Posture influences hormone regulation, lowering cortisol and enhancing alertness when upright, while increasing feelings of vulnerability and fatigue when collapsed. In a study published in Health Psychology, participants who were encouraged to sit or stand tall reported feeling more confident and in control, regardless of their age. Dr. Joan Vernikos, a former NASA director and pioneer in posture science, teaches that the way one moves through life is not just mechanical, but also meaningful. Your posture tells your story, she says. When you stand tall, you signal not just strength, but self-worth. Movement practices such as Tai Chi, gentle yoga, or even mindful walking can be powerful tools for restoring this self-expression. Community wellness centers across the country now offer classes specifically designed for older adults to retrain their balance, build muscle awareness, and reduce their risk of falls. But beyond safety, these practices provide something equally essential: the chance to feel strong again in one's skin. Take Margaret, age 76, from Oregon. For years, she walked slowly, her shoulders rounded and her steps tentative. After joining a beginner yoga group at her church, she began moving with more ease. "It wasn't just that I stood taller," she shared. "People started treating me differently, like I was fully present again." Posture shapes perception. How one walks through space influences how others respond, and how life responds in return. Choosing to walk tall is not about pretending to be young again. It's about reclaiming the quiet dignity that never truly left. Number 3. Dressing without intention. An oversized faded sweatshirt slipping off one shoulder. Pants that haven't seen a tailor or a mirror in years. Shoes scuffed and sagging from years of wear. These aren't just signs of comfort or habit. They are subtle expressions of detachment. When clothing no longer reflects self-respect or vitality, it signals something more profound: a quiet withdrawal from being seen, acknowledged, or celebrated. And the tragedy is that most don't even realize it's happening. Clothing is more than fabric, it's identity worn on the outside. What a person chooses to wear each day shapes not only how others perceive them, but also how they perceive themselves. A study from Northwestern University introduced the concept of enclothed cognition, demonstrating that attire affects confidence, memory, and even decision-making. When older adults consistently dress in clothes that are outdated, ill-fitting, or lifeless in color, the psychological message is internalized, that their days of expression and influence have passed. But that message couldn't be further from the truth. Personal style does not expire with age, it simply evolves. Deborah Rappaport, a style educator and advocate for age-positive fashion, reminds us, clothing is a form of nourishment for the spirit. It tells the world we're alive and engaged. Even subtle changes in wardrobe, replacing worn-out pieces, choosing vibrant colors, or adding a textured scarf, can reawaken the feeling of agency and pride. The goal isn't to chase trends or appear younger. It's to dress in a way that feels intentional, present, and connected. Clothes that fit correctly, fabrics that feel good on the skin, and colors that complement aging tones can instantly lift posture, mood, and energy. A well-chosen outfit can become a daily act of self-affirmation. Take Helen, a retired school principal in Virginia. For years, she rotated between the same two sweaters, convinced fashion no longer mattered. But after receiving a deep green blouse as a gift, everything shifted. "I looked in the mirror and saw someone worth dressing up for again," she said. That moment sparked a quiet but profound renewal in how she approached her day. To dress with care is not superficial. It is an act of presence. It says with quiet strength, "I am still fully here, still vibrant, still expressing, still becoming." Number 4. Living in repetition. Living the same day over and over again may seem harmless, even comforting. But beneath the surface, repetitive routines in later life can quietly erode emotional vitality, cognitive sharpness, and the natural sense of excitement that makes each day worth waking up for. What begins as familiarity gradually becomes a form of confinement. A predictable morning coffee, the same television shows, the same path walked at the same time.
These habits, when unexamined, form invisible walls that keep joy, curiosity, and connection at a distance. Psychologists refer to this as environmental stagnation, a state where the lack of new input limits the brain's ability to grow and adapt. Studies in the journals of gerontology have shown that when daily life becomes too uniform, older adults face a higher risk of depressive symptoms, social withdrawal, and cognitive decline. Emotional flatness sets in. The mind begins to disengage not because of age, but because it's no longer being nourished with variety, challenge, or stimulation. This kind of repetition is hazardous because it often disguises itself as a form of peace. However, real peace comes from balance, not monotony. The absence of change can lead to a lack of feeling. Even joy begins to dull when it has no contrast or surprise to give it texture. Dr. Gene Cohen, a renowned expert in the field of creativity and aging, found that even modest changes to daily life, such as learning a new skill or participating in intergenerational activities, significantly enhance cognitive function and emotional fulfillment. The human brain, even in its later decades, responds to novelty like a thirsty plant to water. The good news is that breaking the cycle of repetition does not require grand upheaval. It begins with intention. Start by altering small habits. Try breakfast at a different time, visit a new local shop, or call someone you haven't spoken to in years. Introduce weekly variety. Sign up for a painting class, attend a library event, walk in a new park, or volunteer one afternoon a week. Even one small change can shift the rhythm of the entire week. And with every new experience, no matter how minor, comes a spark, a gentle reminder that life is still unfolding. Routine may feel safe, but variety brings life. Choose life, one variation at a time. Number 4. Living in repetition. Living the same day over and over again may seem harmless, even comforting. But beneath the surface, repetitive routines in later life can quietly erode emotional vitality, cognitive sharpness, and the natural sense of excitement that makes each day worth waking up for. What begins as familiarity gradually becomes a form of confinement. A predictable morning coffee, the same television shows, the same path walked at the same time. These habits, when unexamined, form invisible walls that keep joy, curiosity, and connection at a distance. Psychologists refer to this as environmental stagnation, a state where the lack of new input limits the brain's ability to grow and adapt. Studies in the journals of gerontology have shown that when daily life becomes too uniform, older adults face a higher risk of depressive symptoms, social withdrawal, and cognitive decline. Emotional flatness sets in. The mind begins to disengage not because of age, but because it's no longer being nourished with variety, challenge, or stimulation. This kind of repetition is hazardous because it often disguises itself as a form of peace. However, real peace comes from balance, not monotony. The absence of change can lead to a lack of feeling. Even joy begins to dull when it has no contrast or surprise to give it texture. Dr. Gene Cohen, a renowned expert in the field of creativity and aging, found that even modest changes to daily life, such as learning a new skill or participating in intergenerational activities, significantly enhance cognitive function and emotional fulfillment. The human brain, even in its later decades, responds to novelty like a thirsty plant to water. The good news is that breaking the cycle of repetition does not require grand upheaval. It begins with intention. Start by altering small habits. Try breakfast at a different time, visit a new local shop, or call someone you haven't spoken to in years. Introduce weekly variety. Sign up for a painting class, attend a library event, walk in a new park, or volunteer one afternoon a week. Even one small change can shift the rhythm of the entire week. And with every new experience, no matter how minor, comes a spark, a gentle reminder that life is still unfolding. Routine may feel safe, but variety brings life. Choose life, one variation at a time. Number 6. Neglecting the body's changing needs. Why do some people seem to quietly disappear from the room without ever leaving it? Often, it has nothing to do with personality or conversation, but something far more subtle: how their body is cared for or neglected. As the body ages, its needs evolve in quiet, invisible ways. Yet when those needs are ignored, when dry skin is left untreated, when oral hygiene slips, or when hearing and vision go unchecked, it's not just comfort that suffers. It's dignity, presence, and connection. Physiological changes in aging are natural: reduced sweat production, slower skin renewal, a decline in saliva, and changes in hormonal chemistry that affect body odor and breath. These shifts may seem minor, but their social impact can be profound. A faint odor, persistent dryness, or even an outdated wardrobe that carries a scent of disuse can create an invisible barrier. Most people will never say a word, but they will step back, shorten conversations, and disengage emotionally. According to research published in The Gerontologist, older adults who take active steps to maintain their hygiene and adapt to their changing bodies experience greater confidence, more frequent social interactions, and improved emotional health. Those who neglect these details often feel unseen, unspoken to, and misunderstood, not because of who they are, but because of how others perceive their presence. Dr. Sharon Inouye of Harvard Medical School stresses that attention to small physical needs is not cosmetic, it's foundational. These routines reinforce a sense of control, self-awareness, and emotional well-being, she says. A clean, cared-for body doesn't just feel better, it communicates vibrancy, attention, and personal pride. Simple steps make a powerful difference. Moisturize daily, especially in drier climates. Use an alcohol-free mouthwash, and sip water throughout the day to prevent dry mouth. Wear clean, breathable fabrics and rotate deodorants as body chemistry changes. Schedule regular checkups for vision and hearing. Keep shoes fresh and clothes laundered. Even these quiet habits build a more substantial, more confident presence. Neglect whispers a message of fading. Care declares resilience. By tending to the small shifts in the aging body, life speaks louder, through confidence, comfort, and the quiet assurance that presence still matters. Number 7. Rejecting technology. A ringing smartphone left unanswered, a video call declined due to discomfort, or a tablet collecting dust in a drawer. These are not just missed moments of convenience. They are missed opportunities for connection, relevance, and independence. When older adults reject or avoid technology, it often stems from frustration, unfamiliarity, or fear of appearing foolish. But over time, this avoidance builds a wall between them and the world, cutting them off from communication, information, and even personal pride. Technology is not just for the young. Digital literacy has become one of the most powerful tools for maintaining independence in later life. Research from the Pew Research Center indicates that older adults who regularly engage with technology, such as texting, video chatting, online banking, or virtual learning, report higher levels of emotional well-being, reduced loneliness, and a greater sense of control over their daily lives. Avoiding it doesn't preserve dignity, it diminishes it. This disconnect is more than digital. It becomes emotional. Loved ones may send messages that go unread, photos that never arrive, or invitations that are never received. Over time, silence grows on both ends. Not because there's a lack of love, but because the channel between generations remains unopened. Dr. Joseph Coughlin, founder of the MIT Age Lab, states that technology is no longer optional, it's essential. His research highlights that acquiring even basic digital skills can dramatically improve access to healthcare, financial resources, and social interaction. The ability to order groceries online, schedule a telehealth appointment, or FaceTime a grandchild across the country isn't about novelty. It's about agency. Learning technology doesn't mean becoming an expert. It begins with small, guided steps. Taking a beginner's class at the library, asking a family member for help navigating a smartphone, or practicing video calls with a patient friend. Each new skill builds confidence, and often, a renewed sense of belonging. Consider Maria, a 74-year-old from New Mexico. After months of hesitation, she learned to send text messages and join her church's online prayer group. What changed wasn't just her access to information, it was her spirit. "I feel part of life again," she said. Rejecting technology may feel safer in the short term, but embracing it opens doors. It says, "I choose to stay involved." Because staying connected isn't about keeping up, it's about refusing to fall behind in a world that still needs your voice. Number 8. Forgetting to create joy. Joy isn't a luxury. It's a biological necessity, says Dr. Barbara Fredrickson, a leading psychologist at the University of North Carolina, who has spent decades studying positive emotions and aging. Her research reveals that consistent moments of joy, no matter how small, can boost immune function, reduce inflammation, and improve cardiovascular health in older adults. Yet despite these powerful benefits, many in later life stop actively seeking joy. Not because they no longer want it, but because they've quietly forgotten how to make space for it. As responsibilities shrink and social circles change, many older adults fall into a passive rhythm of waiting for family to visit, waiting for something special to happen, waiting for purpose to return. But joy does not thrive in passivity. It must be created, nurtured, and pursued with intention. Without it, life can become orderly but emotionally barren. The days may be structured, the body cared for, but the spirit quietly fades. This emotional stagnation has far-reaching consequences that most people are unaware of. A study from UC Berkeley found that older adults who lack consistent sources of enjoyment are more likely to report feelings of loneliness, apathy, and diminished meaning in life. On the other hand, those who engage in joyful activities, even brief ones, experience sharper memory, stronger relationships, and better physical health. Importantly, creating joy doesn't mean chasing constant excitement. It can be as simple as reviving a forgotten hobby, cooking a favorite meal, tending to a garden, or listening to a beloved piece of music. These are not distractions from life, they are the color, the texture, the very substance of a day worth living. Take Franklin, 81, a retired electrician from Ohio. After years of strict routines, he bought a bird guide and began identifying species from his back porch. He recorded his sightings in a notebook, watched the seasons through the feathers and flight of birds, and found himself smiling again. "It gave my mornings purpose," he said. "Not just to wake up, but to notice, to feel." Joy doesn't just happen. It must be invited. And in doing so, life becomes less about enduring time and more about inhabiting it fully. Even one spark of joy can reignite a sense of self, a sense of wonder, and a reason to keep creating days that feel truly lived. Aging is not just about years passing. It's about the choices we make, the small daily habits that either keep us alive and vibrant or slowly make us fade away. What this video shows us, in the most direct and honest way, is that so much of what makes us look older has nothing to do with wrinkles or birthdays. It comes from how we live, how we carry ourselves, and how we choose to engage with life. The first habit is forgetting to learn. The moment we stop being curious, our world starts shrinking. Our minds grow quieter, conversations lose color, and life becomes smaller. But the brain never loses its ability to grow. When we decide to learn something new, no matter how simple, we remind ourselves that we still matter, that growth doesn't end with age. Then there's the way we move. Walking with hesitation or slouching doesn't just make us look weaker, it convinces us that we are weaker. Standing tall and walking with purpose is a statement. I am still here. I am still present. The same goes for how we dress and care for ourselves. Clothing, hygiene, even small acts of attention say to the world and to ourselves, I respect who I am. I respect this life. Repetition, silence, neglect. These are quiet thieves of vitality, but they are also reversible. Choosing variety, speaking up, caring for the body, and embracing technology are simple but powerful ways of staying connected to life. And at the heart of it all lies one essential truth. Joy is not something that happens to us. It's something we create. When we choose joy, through a hobby, through laughter, through noticing something beautiful, we bring light back into our days. The core lesson is this. Aging well is not about pretending to be young. It's about refusing to give up on living fully. Every small choice, standing straighter, learning a skill, sharing your voice, making room for joy, is a way of saying, I am still becoming. So let this be the reminder you take with you. You are not too old, and it is never too late. Change just one habit today, and you'll feel the difference in the way you see yourself and the way the world sees you. If this video has brought you value, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who might need it too. Sure to subscribe to our channel today so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos filled with lessons, insights, inspiration, and continue this journey of rediscovery. Because the truth is, your story is not finished. It's still unfolding, and it can be brighter, stronger, and more meaningful than ever. Thank you for watching. May your days ahead be filled with health, purpose,